Thank you. Pioneer, adventurer, leader. It's an instinct to never stand still. Always striving, never settling. Why should investing be any different? After all, your investment challenges aren't standing still. So neither will we. Expect more with iShares.
We're Cambridge, we're Colchester, Felixstowe and Cromer, we're Peterborough, Wellingborough, we're Luton and Acton, we're Hertford and Stratford, London and the East. We're beginners and we're veterans, local and adopted. We're progressive, we're inclusive, we're versatile, we wear our badge with pride. We're those who volunteer endless time, nurturing the future of our game. We're those who inspire others to give it a go. We're those who support with passion, and those who dream pulling on our shirt. We're strengthening our history to thrive in the future. We are built by our region, for our region. We are sunrisers.
Leaders never stand still. Expect more with iShares.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Lords, where, as you can see, the hover cover is about to come off. The 5-minute bell has rung, and we're nearly ready to go at the home of cricket for this Vitality Blast T20. Middlesex have won the toss, elected to bowl. One change, no Blake Cullen today for the host. Nathan Fernandez returns to the side, the left-arm spinner, so a bit of spin in for a bit of pace on the same track where 228 was struck by Kent the other evening. Max Holden with a century, and a magnificent century it was, just not quite enough for Middlesex on the day. Essex, well, they are 6 from 8 with 2 defeats in their run so far, and very much with an eye on a quarter-final berth. So they will very much be looking at this Middlesex side as a team to beat at the moment, and not to miss out on this opportunity to go for the victory. Let me give you that team in full for Middlesex. They are Eskenazi and Cracknell, Ryan Higgins, Max Holden, John Simpson, Jack Davies, Luke Holman, Martin Anderson, Josh DeCarius, Tom Helm and Nathan Fernandez. And Essex, who will be coming out in a moment, just looking at the pavilion steps there. The Guard of Honour's ready. The Director of Communications doing exactly that, directing somebody down on the outfield. Stephen Fletcher in the foreground. And Pinky the Panther. There's a joke in that somewhere, but he pays the bills, so I'm not saying it. And there's the announcement from the ground PA, who is Chris Temple today, the voice that you'll hear intermittently throughout the game, waiting to welcome on our umpires, taking a moment's pause. So yes, Middlesex looking for that first win. Oh, so close the other evening here against Kent. What an incredible effort by Max Holden, but not enough to get that first win on the board for the season. So here come our umpires, Paul Pollard and Chris Watts. Peter Such is the match referee for this one. They're not coming yet. I thought that was a little turn from them. I thought they were all ready to go at the end of that applause. Essex in the meantime then are Kushi. Dan Lawrence is in. There was some debate as to whether Lawrence might be given the go or not. Michael Pepper, Robin Das, Paul Walter, Matthew Critchley, Daniel Sams, Will Buttleman, wicket-keeper, Simon Harmer, the skipper, Shane Snater and Sam Cook. Snater, who's decided to play here for Essex rather than for the Netherlands in their World Cup qualifiers in Zimbabwe this week. So big and tough call for him, but he's gone with the Eagles rather than flying the flag with the Dutch. So they'll be heading out in a moment. The countdown is 10 seconds away. There we go, 10 seconds away from allowing our umpires out into the middle. So yes, rain at the tests. So a warm welcome to you if you've tuned in from what was the broadcast you were watching at Edgbaston, and now with us instead for well, again, Middlesex will be desperate, absolutely desperate to win after their efforts on Tuesday, coming up short in that chase. I have to admit, at the halfway stage it felt as though it was going to be too far for Middlesex, and it would be a long way too far as well. But Holden, there he is, the last man onto the field. A high five for the mascots. Well done, Max. A real star of the show. Had everybody's sympathy the other day that he didn't manage to end up on the winning side. Well done, Haley, as well, the camera person there, who's shepherding them out onto the field. So out comes Lawrence and Kushi to open up. They'll have seen what happened here the other evening. They'll have seen that score by Kent, 228, only just match winning for the visitors on that occasion. So they all know they'll need a decent power play and a big score on the same pitch as the other evenings, the same boundary lengths as well. Essex off the back of a 4-wicket victory against Glamorgan. Glamorgan 175 for 6, 43 from Carlson, 33 Van der Houten was the last to go of the 6. 2 wickets for Harmer, 1 apiece for Critchley, Snater and Sams. Cook and Walter the other bowlers, and then Essex 61 from Kushi at the top, Walter 43, Sams 41. Das drops down, Ribble drops out, and in comes Dan Lawrence at the top, not a bad man to be able to bring him here at Lord's. Not in the England side, but very much hoping to lead the way for the Eagles. Here's Tom Helm to get things off and running. He's got a slip in place, and Dan Lawrence on strike. Wow, there was seam movement there. We saw that the other evening from Helm at the off. One really chagged away down the slope. Straight away, bounce, a little bit of movement off the surface once again for seam. So no Cullen at the other end for him. Two dangerous, quick seam bowlers. Middlesex will need him to lead the way today. Good again. You see Lawrence just looking to get the pace of this. That's the advantage Middlesex have got on this surface then. They'll know what to expect with the ball, where to bowl it. Helm, another even say, one really jagged for him. Then we went with the straight one, which didn't jag, and it flew away down the leg side. But he'll look to be on the spot straight away. 22 extras they conceded against Kent. 24 in the end. Third dot ball. Good start here from Helm. Lawrence just having to get the pace of this one. Yeah, 24 extras, 8 no balls. And that meant Helm was withdrawn from the attack as well, as he served up 2 of them over waist height. Beautifully bowled. Lovely stuff from Helm. Exactly what we were talking about. You saw it straight away from the first ball. Pitch plain as it did a couple of evenings ago. Pace, bounce, movement. Lawrence comes down to have a little dabble. It's a deep square setback. And a deep third. And deep third is actually being moved up inside the circle. Fernandez, as deep point's been moved back. So that's a decision where he's clearly going to keep it just short of a length. Helm, and say to Lawrence, if you want to score, you've got to go to that short boundary on the onside. Oh, tries to give him the charge. Dangerous move that from Helm, from Lawrence. Quite pay off. Only just missing the top of the off stump. Well, he knows from the field what Helm's going to do. Higgins in the foreground of that shot there, just at the deep cover point. Helm, not the worst move in the world either, just to give it a little bit of width there, expecting Lawrence to come after him again, so Lawrence had to respectfully push it away into the offside. Single off the first over, outstanding from Helm. Lawrence will keep the strike. Essex 1 without loss. Haven't been put in here at Lord's. So yes, Helm ended up with none for 43 from his 3.1 the other evening. Cullen limped out 2 for 36 from 32. And to Carey's open the bowling and pick of the bowlers by far. 1 for 31 from 4. Only went at 7.7. Nobody else with an economy in single figures. Only Cullen and Holman coming close, as they went at 10s but closer to 11. Alright, so strike to the off spinner. There's a big onside boundary to sweep towards. There's a deep square and a long on. And it's chipped down to the long on. Luke Holman. Nathan Fernandez is actually deep mid wicket rather than deep square. They're going to reinforce the onside as well, so they're going to have a long on, a short-ish mid wicket, deep mid wicket, backward square leg, short fine leg on the onside. Cushy's first ball gets a bit of bounce. Did it get a bit of bat on it? And the umpire's going to signal byes. Well, that's spats. This will be interesting for De Carey's. No wonder he's smiling. Middle are giving Lawrence and Kushi something to think about. And that one goes through as well. Well, bold from Lawrence, trying to target that short boundary. Now that looks the better option for Lawrence. He's hitting with the spin. There's a deep mid-wicket back and a long on, which to me says to Lawrence, you've just got to get it up and over, square leg and short fine leg. Go fine with the sweep. That's exactly what he did. A step across. Make Middlesex think about that field. There's an awful lot of room from deep mid-wicket. He's more cow corner. Max Holden it is out there. Lawrence tries to access the offside on this occasion. Good from him. 10 off the over, one to come. What does he do last up? Just finding that little bit of room here to manufacture the shot. Carries did well, kept it on the stumps, made sure that Basser had to hit it off the stumps. Goes the single down the grounds. Last up, I did wonder if he'd go back to the onside, but single to end the over means he keeps the strike. Lawrence has faced 11 of the deliveries so far and 12 without loss, Essex. Kushi just that leg by. Helms go again from the nursery, and I suppose no great surprise given he only went for one off the first over. Little bit of width, smashed down the ground, flat batted by Lawrence. Powerfully hit back, probably would have been a wide. That's a stretch for it, but dragged it with that bottom hand back past the bowler. Probably just would have gone outside the line and been a wide. Lawrence managed to get the power into the shot and get it away. Gets that one away as well. Huge shot into the grandstands. Massive from Lawrence. First 6 of the innings for Essex. Powerfully done. Field the same with the deep square and the deep point. Pretty much know then that that ball's going to have to be on that spot where Helms just delivered it. Previous ball's just that little bit wider as well with that big offside field. This one that little bit straighter. There we go. Chase on for deep point. Higgins holds them to 2, 12 off the first 3 of the over. Bit of payback for Lawrence to Helm after just 1 off the first over. Tough game with the short boundary on one side for the bowler. The field set as it is, deep square and deep point. Only place you can put it is on a length just outside off stump. And his only real margin to play with that is slightly further outside off stump or back tighter to the off stump as well, but he can't really go much shorter, or immediately Lawrence is on the back foot and taking on that short boundary. Now here's interesting, what's the change going to be? He's got deep point back, deep mid wicket, which means just a fraction shorter again from Helm. There we go, up on his toes. Lawrence pushing into the offside, fielded at extra cover. Good from Helm, just a single. Lawrence off strike. Over to Kushi, but they'll go straight back to the previous field. Deep point and deep square. Fascinating cricket this. Helm, such an expert bowler at the top and at the end for Middlesex in T20 cricket. Gun death ball bowler. Questions asked of him at the top here with that short boundary, but yeah, clever move to send back the deep mid wicket for Lawrence. Again, it just means that even for Kushi here again, the length is quite clear. It's just how wide outside the off stump will he serve it. about a 5th, 6th stump line, but angling back in up the slope that one. They'll take 2. Cushy off the mark, second ball. Oh, well, I'll tell you what, they were getting excited in the grandstand. I think that was because they felt a direct hit from the deep point. Might have been interesting, but Cushy off the mark with a couple. Good over for Essex. 15 off it, one to come. Pretty much makes up for that first over, just 1 run off it. Up in the air, but quite safe over mid-on, and 4 more. Helm just over pitched on that one. Maybe it was the bluff, but it didn't pay off. Cushy just getting enough on it to get it over the mid-on. 4 it is to end the over. 31 without loss after 3. Good start now for Essex. Pressure back onto Middlesex. And on to the young spinner, Nathan Fernandez, who's next up at the pavilion end. Cushy there, 23 years of age now. He'll be 24 on the 23rd of June. Whips cross born for his Cushy. Essex all the way through. 15 T20s prior to this. Top score of 67. One of 3 times in 15 innings he's passed 50. Not a bad return for the young man at all. Another young man up against him here, Londoner Nathan Fernandez, just 19 years of age. Lawrence on strike first, gets the single down to long on. So looking to turn it away from the right-hander, left arm spinner, against the slope as well though. We've seen bounce in this pitch, that's what Fernandez will need here. None of it there, and they get the singles back on point, well run. Jack Davies throwing into the gloves of Simpson, the man who he's handed the gloves back to, having taken his place off Simpson after the 3rd round of games, taking the gloves and the place off him, but as Simpson returns, he gets the gloves straight back. Beautiful shot. Sweet timing, good connection. Cow corner in place, but Lawrence picks up the boundary. Is he following him? I think so. Lawrence opened up and the young spinner threw it in hard towards the body of Lawrence, but a lot of space on the onside to attack. Lawrence quite happy taking the ball with him. So long on comes up, that's the end of that conversation. Long on comes up and deep square goes back. It's carved for a single. That's deep mid wicket, didn't get a hold of it, looked to smear it back over the bowler's head. Just a drag and a shake of the head and a kick of the ground as well from Lawrence. No run or bowled. Very, very good from young Fernandez. Just 7 off the over. Takes them back down below that 10 or 8, 10 and over rate that they were going at the end of the 3rd. 38 without loss and put in. 4 overs gone, Essex. Dan Lawrence, 30 from 18. 90 T20s to his name at 25 years of age. He'll be 26 in July. 2 whips across, boys out in the middle for Essex to open up. Tests and an average of 29, not to be in the Ashes so far for Lawrence. Is Martin Anderson replacing Helm at the nursery end? A straight back into the stumps at the non-strikers there. Nothing on it from Anderson, so no worries for Kushi. 90 T20 matches, 83 innings, 9 not outs, 1,902 runs, 1,902 runs for him. High score of 86, 11 50s in 83 innings. Average just below 26. Oh, just short of Helm. Bounce up and they'll get a couple. That was nasty, and it looks as though Helm's okay, which is your first thought, because Helm goes for that. Archetypal example of the dentist job, that one. Oh. Helm so close to getting his hands under it, so close to losing his front teeth though. It's always a nasty one. Wow. Mind your front teeth in the front row of the grandstand. Hope they had their eyes on that one. Super pick-up from Lawrence. Anderson just a little too straight with that. It allows Lawrence to go hard at that onside, which he'll do off any length if you go too straight. It's not easy for the bowlers here, as Helm saw in his last over, a great first over on a length or just short of. It can't even be a fraction full of a length here really, because it'll be too close to the slot for Lawrence to try and open up to the onside. There's a deep mid wicket and a long on back for Anderson. Interesting move this. It's gone short again, and he's swatted down to long on for a single. For Kushi, it's back to the deep mid wicket and the deep point. Davies signing autographs out at deep mid wicket. Higgins down at deep point. Up in the air. Higgins holds on. Kushi's gone for 7. Anderson with a wicket in his first over. Kushi looking to give it everything into the offside, but a huge boundary out there. Decent little innings, but he'll have felt in the power play with Lawrence going at 39 from 22 that he needed to get going as well, 7 from 6. Just that little bit of width meant the bat face was always open, and he ended up scooping it into the offside. Little shuffle towards the pitch from Kushi. Just see that first little shuffle, but as Anderson was a little bit wider with it, he wasn't quite to the pitch, and as he stretched for it, so too that bat face was ever opening up to the skies, and that's where the ball went. Higgins with the catch, Middlesex with a much needed wicket in the power play. Didn't even look for a moment. Saw Higgins underneath it. He wasn't sure whether to look. He's had some good moments with the ball in the blast so far, Anderson. They need him today, no Cullen. It's desperate for Anderson to step up. It's a big opportunity for him. He's only had one chance in the championship this season, Martin Anderson. Slow ball first up to Pepper. 48 for 1 at the end of the 5th. So 48 for 1 after 5. Lawrence 39. Pepper, the new batter. Anderson 1 for 10 from his first over. Good from him. enough width on it to pierce the offside from Lawrence on that occasion. Back-to-back overs from Fernandez in the power play as well. Big call this from Eskenazi. .48 for one. 49 for one indeed. The final over of the power play. They'll want to be up high in the 50s here. Lawrence with the strike and 4 balls left of it. To Wise. Still 4 to go for Fernandez. Darted that one in. Oh, it's beautifully played by Lawrence. Tees off down the ground for 4. Didn't get all of it, but just a sweet flow of the bat. Enough control, if not quite the timing. Fernandez looking to dart it in again towards Lawrence. Tuck him up a little. Quality player though. Well, this time he does get hold of it, and how far does that keep going towards? Huge, huge 6 for Dan Lawrence into the pavilion. Ricochets down into the lower tier from somewhere atop that famous old red brick pavilion. Look at this, didn't get hold of the last one. Sure got hold of that. Just drops down on that lower tier somewhere. Where from? Hits up on top, I think. Just caught the bit of the middle tier on the way down. 60 for 1 with 2 to go at the power play. It'll be a leg by. He won't get his 50 inside the power play. Applause from the fans, but a tap of the knee from the umpire. Lawrence hangs his head backwards, feeling he's missed out there on another boundary with the field up inside the circle on the leg side, and he deep mid-wicket around to cow corner, long on, with those 2 others up. And they're bisected for the last ball of the power play. It's there on the sweep, if you can get it. Pepper does. He moves to 6 from 4. Lawrence 49 from 25, and Essex power their way at the end of the power play. Fernandez bowling on the stumps, saying you're going to have to hit me off the stumps, but it's exactly what Pepper did. 65 for 1 after 6. Kent had 59 on the board the other evening before they powered their way to 228. Batting first. Middlesex gone past 60 in reply, but wasn't enough. Couldn't help hold them towards that target. Now spin is going to have to play a big part for Middlesex today, as they've replaced Cullen with Fernandez. This man still extremely young and tender in his playing career, but when he's good, he's very good. Luke Holman, what can he produce from the nursery end? There's the 50. 26 deliveries for Dan Lawrence's 50. Raises the bat around Lords. Cracking knock. How many more will Essex see knocks like this from him? 5 4s and 3 6s for Lawrence. And wanting to get in under the act is Pepper. That one hits the middle tier of the grandstand, swept hard by the right hander. Not much wrong with that from Holman. Just outside the off stump, just full of a length. He's done well, Pepper, to get underneath that. Now goes for the same again. That's not a bad shout. Not out is the call. have another look. Holman with a convincing appeal. Wasn't the worst appeal you'll see in the world. Hit on the back leg, down on one knee. What's Eskenazi doing? Outside of the power play, we've got a deep backward square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, deep cover. So the leg spin turning it away from the right-hander with the slope, away from the short boundary, which Pepper is trying desperately to access. On the sweep again, single taken. Well, we saw a century the other night for Max Holden. Big runs for Bell, Drummond and Crawley as well. Lawrence on 50 from 26, only in the 7th over. Crunching drive into Martin Anderson. He's a long way back there. Many bigger boundaries in T20 cricket this summer than there is away to Old Father Time, where Anderson's patrolling. Eskenazi's the fielder you can just see there at extra cover. Oh, that's a really good shot from Pepper again. There's not too much wrong with that ball, but the short boundary is a problem for Holman. Might be feeling a little bit salty as he gets peppered again. "13 off the over." Apparently I'm getting fined my match wages for this one after that last comment. 25%, just like Moeen Ali. 78 for 1 after 7. 13 off Holman's over, 4 off the last, 6 off the second. It's tough with that short boundary. Here's Higgins into the attack for the first time from the pavilion end. Pepper 17 from 8. Essex have liked the look of that short boundary already. They've made really good use of it. Higgins will be trying to keep this straight. He's checking the onside field there, the big boundary. You can see that matting there. That'll be the test match track for the Ashes, just behind him on the onside. Good from Higgins. Pepper looks straight to the square leg umpire. That's fine. Lawrence is asking the question. Nothing wrong with that. Very good bouncer from Higgins, who's basically going to have to operate on that line. Long on, deep mid-wicket, deep square and long leg. It's a deep cover as well. If Pepper or Lawrence try and give themselves room and carve it into the offside off a straight line. He can't do that when he bowls it there. Or bowls from Higgins. Leg bye taken. Pepper will want to get at that offside. Can go one of two ways. He can get obsessed with a short boundary rather than just playing the ball that's delivered. Oh, and there we go. Perfect example of it. Trying to access the offside. Higgins bowls it beautifully on a length, just within the tram lines. And it's another dot ball. It's a really good over from Higgins. Pepper stands up and plays the ball there, and that's a comfortable boundary. He knows he's going to go with him again, just gives himself that little bit of room to end the over. They're going to get 2. Excellent first over from Higgins. 4 off it, leg bye as well, so 5 to the total. 83 for 1 after 8. We saw this what Kent did very well the other evening. Mieye and Bell Drummond opening up in particular. They ran twos to the big boundary. Strike rate of 200. May not have been a boundary, but chop it into the onside and you've got a strike rate of 200 with just a dab into the onside. Essex just a little bit guilty of getting carried away with that short boundary in the last over, trying to find a way to get it away to the grandstand. Martin Anderson, only man to have taken a wicket so far, picked up Kushi, caught Higgins for 7. Trying to go up and over into the offside, get him right underneath it to Higgins at deep point. Going to have to fancy that they're going to be chasing somewhere around 200 again, if not just over. Once again today, Middlesex. Especially if Lawrence hangs around. 53 from 29. Where can he go with this innings? He can go straight to backward point, and Higgins takes the catch. Carbon copy of mode of dismissal of Kushi as Higgins takes the catch and Anderson has the wicket. Cut straight to the fielder. Comfortable catch for Higgins. Big wicket for Anderson. Huge wicket for Middlesex. Lawrence gone for 53. A little bit of relief there in that Middlesex huddle. Gave himself some room. Tucked up slightly and ended up getting underneath it. Cut straight to Higgins. Hit that off the top of middle and leg really as he's cut it to backward point. Good bowling from Anderson. Followed batter, and well, Anderson, as I say, he's having a fine blast with the ball so far. 2 for 10 from 1.1. Here's Das out to join Pepper. The run straight away, but just a single. Holds in at deep mid wicket. Robin Das, 21 years of age, Leytonstone boy. Born closer to Lords than he was to Chelmsford, which makes this a London derby of sort. Pepper launches that one over deep backward square. Again, anything straight. He's picked up the wicket a couple of balls back off a very similar length to that, Anderson. Line and length. He's probably pulled this over the top of middle and leg, exactly so. He served that up a couple of deliveries back. Picks up a wicket to backward point as he gets Lawrence cutting. Lawrence is probably wishing. But he stood his ground and did what Pepper just did. 25 off 13 for him. Oh, he nearly falls the same way Lawrence did. Higgins at backward point, just having to watch it sail away in front of him. A couple of runs taken, but very nearly. Carbon copy of the Lawrence dismissal. Stepped across to cut it. Straight in the air, just in front of Higgins. Straight in the air. Max Holden underneath it. Oh, couldn't quite get there. Well, he saw him on the move the whole way, just too far in front of him. Anderson with a shake of the head, but this is a tough chance for Max Holden. He picked it up relatively early. He was on the move in the right direction as well. Just see that bat face was open into the sky. Holden, oh, I mean, if he'd have held on, we'd have been jumping up and down about that. Good slow ball to end the over. 11 off it and a wicket. 2 for 21 from his 2 Anderson. Pretty happy with his display. Very nearly had a third, but Pepper survives. 29 from 16. That's 1 from 1. Essex put in 94 for 2 from 9. Should be a 200 plus score again. Change of ends for Holman, which is probably right with the short boundary. They were sweeping him for fun from the nursery end. Very difficult to find his length. Not so much find his length, but find the right length to bowl to them from the nursery end. Now from the pavilion. Puts it right up there on a straight line, which is where he'll keep it for sure, on the stumps with that short boundary out to the offside. David's tidying up, sweeping out at deep cover point. Long off and long on back. Deep mid-wicket, deep backward square and deep cover. So Pepper here has to give himself room to hit that offside, or he's got a reverse sweep. Holman has to keep it on the stumps. A little bit of width just outside of the off stump. He gets away with it. Short fine leg. Short third, sorry, is Helm. More width on this occasion. Well, I think Pepper fancied that was going to be a straighter ball. Again, in line with the field, so he was only able to tuck that around the corner from almost the 5th stump line. A couple of runs nonetheless, though, much like Kent. It's a strike rate of 200. When you drop it into the onside. Oof. Onto the grill. Did he scoop it onto the grill? Was it off the bat? Now, even though the spinner is the one that's hit him, they're still going to have the obligatory check from the physio. Did he get bat onto it? Just went to scoop it again. It's this game of cat and mouse with the off stump in mind, that short boundary in the offside, and yeah, just scoops it onto his grill. Won't be any damage done. They have to come and have a check. Just 3 off the first 4 balls of Holman's second over. They'll be happy with this, but yeah, they've got the ends right for Holman now. There's Vish, former Middlesex physio, on the left. Popular figure at Lords before moving to Essex. .97 for 2. .31 for Pepper, 2 for Das, 97 for 2. Now there we go. That's the game with the wrist spinner from the pavilion end. The reverse sweep away from Pepper. 100 up for Essex. Let's have a look at the line of Holman. This is the key. Just enough outside of the off stump for the reverse sweep to go. So we're in premeditate, an orthodox sweep off a wide line. Same again. Helm with a tumbling stop holds them to a single. 8 off the over. Holman goes for 21 off his 2. 102 for 2 at the halfway stage, Essex. Still going at 10s. And with a very well set batter in Pepper. Ryan Higgins, change of ends. Now, he had a very good over from the pavilion end, so I'm a little bit surprised as the change of ends here, but maybe that's because of Holman. They felt they had to switch Holman's ends. So Higgins now has to keep it outside the off stump with that short boundary to the onside. That would have been a wide. It was a little bit too wide, though, from Higgins, and that allows Pepper to get it backward of the sweeper, Holman. If it had let it go, that's a wide for the umpire straight away. Was a step across, so maybe it wouldn't have been, but as soon as it went wide like that, deep third's up, so's deep back, so's short third is up, so's backward point, and actually backward point's now dropping to deep backward point as well. So just giving that little bit of protection, that makes sense. Anything late on that line that Pepper's looking to keep, or Higgins is looking to keep to Pepper. This time of the low full toss. Interesting. It seems as though that short boundary in the lines are just a little bit more in play today. Maybe it's because Middlesex got a bit more control. It was a difficult day for them in the field against Kent. This won't be easy, 107 for 2 off 10.2, but it feels as though they're bowling better. They've got more control. It felt like it got out of control. It felt like it was a bit loose from Middlesex on Friday night. There you go, playing with that line again, just inside the tram lines. Das on this occasion perhaps trying to overhit it with that deep backward point as well as deep cover point. Can he get out of the over and bring the run rate down below 10 for the first time in the innings? Oh, straight to the short fine leg! Pepper would have been gone, I think. Fernandez up inside the circle. To go the over. Higgins, it'll be interesting. I think he's got to just stick to a line wide outside the off, in particular to Pepper. Does Pepper try to play across the line to the short boundary? Little inside edge past Fernandez. 4 more, he's on to 45, Pepper. He had one thought in mind, and that was swing and swing hard. If he drags it to the onside, fine. He ends up opening into the offside, then there's only deep cover back in front of square. Paul gets away with that one, Higgins. Low full toss is much harder to hit, but equally with the short boundary, Pepper in his mind will be thinking that was the 50 into the grandstand if he'd have got hold of that. 11 gone, 113 for 2 Essex. Better bowling performance by Middlesex. 4 extras so far, 24 extras in Kent's 228. And when you consider the victory margin, as that man, Max Holden, scored a century but on the losing side in the chase. That was very much the difference. Today, it's over to the Essex batters. Extra count, far better. Now it's Carey's back into the attack from the pavilion end. No doubt about the ends for Carey's, whereas Holman had to start up at the nursery ends. No chance that they'll have Carey's bowling from the nursery end, turning the ball into the right-handers and into that short boundary. So it's pavilion end all the way for the off-spinner. It's a long on, long off, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square, deep backward point. Deep backward point's got his work cut out here. It's Davies, he won't get there. Chops down beautifully on that, Pepper. He's on to 50 from 26. Really good innings from him. 50 from Lawrence at the top. 50 from Pepper at 3. 5 4s and 2 6s. Make that 51. Won't get the couple though, because it's straight to the fielder out at deep mid-wicket. And again, that's just something that for sure Middlesex will remember from Friday night. Kent did really well. Just managed to hit a gap in between the deep mid-wicket, the long on, the deep backward square. It's find 2 constantly into that onside. Crunches that one. Brilliant stop. And look, there's a perfect example. Just a single. Brilliant shot. Brilliant piece of fielding. Had to dive for it, Holden. Still able to hold them for the single. Now you nudge that in between deep mid-wicket, deep backward square, or deep mid-wicket and long on. There's 2 there. You come out of the over with 12. 6 off it so far. Make that 12 off it so far. Launched into the grandstands. Off the back foot from Pepper. Boy, he's done well there. Had a masterclass on Sky this morning of Peterson talking about how Joe Root does it. Off the back foot to the spinners. Great example there from Pepper as well. 125 for 2. Big appeal just outside the line of off. You can see where he's finished there. Look at where his pad is. Still in position. Don't think he was struck on the move. I don't think there's any real chance. The umpire raising his finger for that one, Mr. Pollard. Top ball straight to extra cover. My apologies, Mr. Watts standing at the pavilion end. 125 for 2, so 4-1-1-6-0-0. Here's the LBW. Just watch for that front pad. Oh, I tell you what, that's not bad actually. He was on the move when he was struck. Flurry of action for the umpires. Try and make up his mind on that one. Here's Anderson from the nursery end. It should be his 3rd over. So interesting how they're going to deploy the last 4 then. Which is maybe Anderson bowls the 19th with Helm bowling the 18th and the 20th. Hold 1 back for Anderson at that point. Low full toss first up, going for the Yorker. Got it the right side of the wrong length for the Yorker though. If you're going to go with the Yorker, if you're going to miss, you've got to miss long rather than short. You've got to make sure it's a low full toss rather than into the sweet spot and a half volley. Swept fine straight to Fernandez. Long off and long on back for Anderson, which is interesting here. So for Pepper, they were looking at Havid. Well, there's a thought now they're going to keep them back. No, Helmy's coming up. So for Pepper, they kept it on a full length. So you're going to have to go down the ground. They're not going to let him open up to the onside at all. Bump ball back to, well, was it a bump ball? Anderson looks disappointed. Groan from the crowd. Should that have been a 3rd wicket for Anderson? I thought it was straight into the ground, but oh. This is good from Anderson, really good. He's keeping to that length. He did drop Helm back for that last delivery there, for this delivery indeed. Goes to the wide Yorker. Excellent over from Anderson. Just the 3 off it. 2 to go. This is a big over for Middlesex. They can get out of this one. He won't get out of it. Oh well, look at that. I think that's just hit the top of the advertising board, hasn't it? It sounded like it was a clump. The noise on it. He said if you're going to go for the Yorker, you've got to go slightly long rather than slightly short. There's the example of it. Just missed the Yorker in being a fraction too short of being a Yorker, which basically puts the ball into the slot. And even though it was a wide one, still allowed Pepper to drag it to the onside. Deep mid-wicket, deep square and long on back on the short boundary. It's going to be a wide. Anderson asks, yeah, but did he not step across? Interestingly, as Pepper stood back up there, he immediately stood back into the position where he began. I think Anderson probably had a fair point that he got down and across, but as he stood up, he stood straight back into the position where he'd begun. Difficult call, that one from the umpire. Probably just about got it right. Anderson goes wide on the crease. The ball goes wide on the crease and goes down to deep third. A stunning catch by Holman. That was pressure. Pepper's gone for 64. Outstanding innings for him. A third wicket for Martin Anderson. 3 for 31 after 3. He's having a day with the ball. Middlesex needing 2. Essex 135 for 3. Look at how wide he is on the crease. He delivers this and goes wide. And where Pepper had dragged that one previously to the onside, this time he tries to go offside with it, but again, in searching for it, that bat face opens to the sky, which is where the ball follows. Brilliant from Holman. Not an easy one at all. Paul Walter comes out at 5. Hasn't quite got going at the other end yet, Robin Das, but one of these two, well, both of them, I think, have just got to get going and keep going now. Walter from Basildon, 29, just the other day, 28th. Just a single down to long off. Left-handed bat for De Carey's to bowl out. How long before Walter swings across the line? Tall man, Paul Walter. Long levers. He'll be looking to find some room. Free up the arms. Drag that ball into the onside. First ball, there you go, straight away, out to cow corner. 6 runs to get off the mark for Walter. Just thinking about the lengths here for De Carey's. What does he do? He's gone full of first ball. Ends up being in the slot for Walter. Nonetheless, there was a lot to do from there, and he's done it well. It's the short boundary. If he goes any shorter, it makes it a much easier pick up to the onside. Difficult one here for De Carey's. Cut away, just a single out to deep cover. They've got a reinforced offside for the left-hander, rightly so. Not as easy to drop 2 into the offside for the left-hander as it is for the right-hander. Now he's gone for the big one and he's missed it. Clips the top of the off stump. 143 for 4, and De Carey strikes back. Bass goes for 7, never really got going out there. 6 off the first ball of the over, smiles now though off the 4th ball. Das departs, looking for the huge shot into the onside. I don't think that perhaps that's something Essex have picked up on as well as Kent did the other evening. It's a comfortable 2 into the onside. It's going to be a pretty good shot to clear deep mid-wicket, the size of that boundary, slamming it that hard. And again, it's almost like you're trying to hit it too hard. To find the gap to get 4, you're really going to have to hit it sweetly and into exactly the right spot. Whereas if you drop it into the right spot on the onside, there's a comfortable 2. It's something that Essex just haven't picked up on today. Sure, Middlesex will be saying that to themselves when they come out. 143 for 4. Daniel Sams is in at number 6. Goes off the mark with a single. That's deep square. 131 T20s for Sams, 30 years of age now, from New South Wales. Left arm bowler, right-handed bat. Up in the air, the cry is catch. This is going to keep going though, isn't it? It is. Into the third or fourth row of the grandstands. Davies tried to get himself underneath it. It was a difficult one for De Carey's. I don't think as long as Walter's out there, they can have De Carey's on from the pavilion end now. I said the length's a problem here. This one, he's allowed to rock back and pull into the onside. The first one, he went full to Walters. And even off a very full length, with that short boundary, you only need to get under it to some extent to clear the rope. 2 sixes in the over for Walter, 13 from 3 for him. 150 up for Essex, 150 for 4. That run rate climbs again, even with the little flurry of wickets. This is going to be a dangerous partnership now, right-handed, left-handed. Sams, he's got a top score of 98 unbeaten in T20 cricket, 5 50s in 105 innings. Oh, catches the cry, back over Holman it goes. Well, that really did grip for Holman from the nursery end. Very nearly dollied back. Sams gets a couple. Just watch this one there, turn for Holman down the slope. It's a good ball, should just be a single. There's the slight assistance coming back on at the nursery end. Holman now that, one, it's a new batter, the right-hander. Walter, well, he's a new batter as well. He's only faced 3. But equally, if he wants to hit with the spin, the left-hander, he's heading to the big boundary. Long on's back, deep mid-wicket, deep square. Short fine leg is up. Short fine leg is going to move. Eskenazi was straight up to Holman here. Short fine leg's going to the short mid-wicket. So going to have a deep backward square, deep mid-wicket, orthodox mid-wicket and long on. Huge amount of room from deep backward square all the way around to the pavilion gate if Walter goes for a paddle. I feel he's missed out there. Leg side, just the leg by. Any little bit of bass on that, and there's at least a couple. And a very long chase for a deep backward square. Drop short. And given the treatment. Only faced 3 deliveries, Sams, but that was a bit of a long hop from Holman. Eyes lit up and no mistake made from Sams. Wasn't even that short, but he's picked up the length early. The line perhaps as much as anything. Straight enough for Sams to rock back and hit. Now that goes as well. Wasn't too much wrong with that one from Holman, but Sams fancies the grandstand as well. Back-to-back 6s. Line and length not too bad on this one from Holman. Just outside off, spinning away. Reasonable length, perhaps a fraction short, but it's difficult for Holman to the right-hander from the nursery end. It really is. Single to end the over. (17 off it, 16 against the bowler with the leg by. 167 for 4 off 15. Look at the run rate, up and over 11 now. Five overs to go, 30 deliveries. They will very much be thinking. 60 runs off these last 5, and Middlesex again will be chasing somewhere close to 230. Single start the over. Width on that from Anderson, just a single. Now they've gone with Anderson for the 16th. Helm to bowl the 18th and 20th from the pavilion ends. Who goes 17th and 19th from the nursery then? Interesting call to come here for Eskenazi. No ball? Yep. Bit of tennis ball bounce on that one from Anderson, really looped up off the surface. Bit of a mismatch in height between Sams and Walter, but even to Walter that one would have been tight. There's a no ball on height. I think they'd have been safe, even if that had have struck. It would have been a big call from the on-field umpire to give that one out without any opportunity to go upstairs. He looked close enough, but he was home all the way. Eskenazi it was, coming in from extra cover. He gets extra cover on the offside now for the left-hander. Now reinforcing the offside field. You don't see this often in T20 cricket, a 6-3 field on the offside, so only long on, deep mid wicket and deep backward square. You can guarantee this has got to be full and outside the off stump from Anderson. There it goes, single down to long off. Only thing Walter can think about there really is the charge and try and go back over the bowler's head, try and get some leverage underneath it, because it's a wide long off and a wide long on. That's a problem if he gets or a problem for him to think about if he gets the strike back. It's back to Sams though. Should be a straight line again from Anderson. Ball follows him, comes off the body, gets away with that. It's going to be a leg by. Could have been a wide, could have flown down the leg side for 4, but pace taken off, hitting the body. Well done Simpson getting around. So here we go, back to Walter. So long off and long on, there's a huge gap between the two of them. Oh, Walter now be thinking, this is going full and wide, just try and get in line and hit down the ground. Well, that was the attempt, didn't quite get there. It's the bottom edge into the onside and a single taken. Good over again from Anderson, look at that. 3 for 38 from his 4 with an extremely short boundary at Lords. Got to factor into the 38 runs a percentage for that short boundary. That's a brilliant bowling display from Anderson. 3 of the 4 wickets to go. With Essex looking good for 200 plus here. Eight off that Anderson over with the leg by, 7 against the bowler. So here's Helm to bowl the 17th. It'll be the 17th and 19th from Helm. That might be a very clever move from Eskenazi. That's why. Can he build up some earlier pressure rather than leave it to the 18th and the 20th when some damage could have been done? Instead, the 17th and 19th might create chances at the other end. If Helm comes off as he usually does at the end. Gets away with that leg side slower ball, leg by. This is pretty good captaincy from Eskenazi. He's got him back at the earliest opportunity he can so that he's at least still bowling one of the final 2 overs, the 17th. This and then the 19th. Higgins will bowl one of the final two. Will he go back to spin? Who will he go back to bowl the 18th over? Holman, none for 37 from 3. Higgins, well, Higgins might bowl the last two. He's only gone at 7.5. In fact, surely he'll go back to Higgins to bowl the last two. None for 15 from his 2. Only Anderson with 9.5 has gone in single figures as well. Well, and Helm, 9.23. Ooh, drags that one down. I think he saw a little step across from Sams. Dragged it slightly. Full toss, would have been a wide. Get a single for it. Helm's process here is quite simple. Keep it on that line. Wide outside off stump. They want to access the short boundary and they have to drag it. But different one here for Walter. You'd imagine it'll be block, hole and bumper from Helm to Walter, which stops him accessing the short side altogether. And if he wants to hit big, then he's somehow got to clear either out of the block hole or off a short ball, deep mid wicket, deep square, long leg, long arm. Bumper first up, no ball, too short. Didn't need to do that, Helm. Doesn't really need to go that hard with the bumper. Can happily be a slower ball bouncer. He's only got to put it onto the ribs really of Walter. Where's he going to hit it? It's got to be a huge shot to clear deep backward square. There's the Yorker length delivery. You can see by where the pitch is with the pavilion in the background, almost below the away dressing room, so far across to the grandstand. So there's no easy shot. There's no obvious shot for Walter to try and find even a boundary, let alone a 6, if Helm's bowling toes and nose. For Sams, it's quite simple. Keep it outside off once more. Imagine the wide Yorker. Oh, drags it down really wide again. Extras count climbs to 15. 24 it was against Kent. They just need to be a little bit careful. 182 scored off 100 deliveries, but 15 of those in extras for Middlesex. So you can see in this over, one leg by, wide, no ball, leg by, wide. No boundaries though. Inside the tram line. Maybe a couple here. That's deep. Oh, it's just a single. Sams is disappointed, but again, it's one thing, I'd say, in criticism of Essex today. I don't think they've worked out the big boundary here. They certainly worked out the smaller boundary. If they win it, then maybe their attempts to target the short boundary more often than not will pay off. But if they don't and they come up a little bit short with the bat, then I think probably not being able to play both sides of the wicket today. There you go, up in the air. He might get away with this, and he does, but that's pretty much the point for Walter. There's nowhere he can go on that onside, unless you're talking about a humongous shot out of the block hole or a short delivery. Card for 6 into the onside. End of the over. Helm will be pretty happy with that. None for 27 off 3. They haven't scored a boundary. They'll be aware of that. They won't like the fact there wasn't a boundary in that over. Helm's death over bowling can really build the pressure. They're still going at nearly 11 and over though. 18 balls to go. They will be thinking 36 runs, which is 220. So here's Higgins. Blake Cullen injured and missing for this one. What's Higgins saying? They're swapping around the short third. Well, they've got the short third. I've almost got two short thirds actually. Single out to deep mid wicket. Swept away. You can just see Higgins pushing that ball ever wider as Walter advanced. So Sams, does he back away and try and open up to the offside? I think he has to hit. How's his reverse? Higgins is sharper than he looks though. One out on the offside, so it has to be straight. Four back on the onside. Goes up in the air. Goodness me, he's got all of it. Wow, that's a big, big six. Probably the shortest area on the large side of the grounds. It was exactly the angle that he's got that. It's where that boundary rope comes in, but even still, even if that was the largest part of the ground, you can just see the angles there on that boundary rope in front of the Tavern and the Edrich. Now it goes the other way, into the offside, into the slot from Higgins, into the grandstand from Sams. Didn't get the Yorker right, pays the price. That was there to be hit. Sams made no mistake. 33 from 14 from Sams now, look at that. 197 for 4, pressure onto Higgins. Low full toss, that's where it needs to be. If you're going full, you've got to make sure you go slightly longer than a low full toss. So back to Walter. Back to the leg side. Long on, deep mid wicket. Square legs up. 6-3 fields. So Higgins will be desperately trying to angle this across, Walter. Oh, the bluff! Big appeal. Oh, goodness me, not out. Gee, that was close. Unless it's a run. You got bat on it. Not out, Ryan. Oh, the bluff from Higgins, and he executed it perfectly. Goodness me, he's got bat on that between his legs. Legs wide open, but gets the bat down. Oh no. 6 runs, flat 6 over extra cover. You talk about it being a low full toss rather than into the slot. That wasn't particularly a low full toss from Higgins, was it? Sams nonetheless. Again, the width that was on it. That's just there to be hit. Went for the wide Yorker twice in the over and he's twice punished. 6 over deep backward square leg. 2 sixes into the grandstand as the wide Yorker doesn't come off for Higgins. 1 short, 1 long, both resulting in sixes. 21 off the over, 205 for 4. Need a big over here, Middlesex, from this man. Straight down the throat of deep square. Problem for Walter, the onside. The left-hander really has to come up with something very special, as we've been saying, to clear that big boundary on the onside. Couldn't do so. 205 for 5. Holman with the catch. Comfortably inside the rope there. Another good catch from Holman. Puff the cheeks from him. So Critchley comes out at 7. .205 for 5 then. Sam's 40 off 16. Critchley 1, 4 or 6. Or is this just Critchley's over to tee off. Let Sams take on Higgins in the final over, having just hit him for 21 in the 18th. Sams, I'm sure, will be desperate to have another go at Higgins. 3 sixes he got him away for in that last over. Critchley's got to go at it from ball 1. 11 left to the innings. 205 for 5. Good shot just for 1 to get off the mark. This is Middlesex's opportunity here. Sams will want to keep going. It wouldn't, or it shouldn't, I should say, be easy against this man though. Keeping it outside that off stump, mixing up the pace, mixing up the line, length. Well, don't mix up the line too much, but the length he will. It's a 6-3 field once more. You do not see this often in T20 cricket. That short boundary, right arm over to the right hander, and a 6-3 field. Sams goes down the ground. Wow, what a shot. Well, that's clever cricket from Sams. He's on to 46 from 17. And he's made a pretty simple decision there. He's cleared his mind. If you go full, I'm going down the grounds. Ended up being into the slot for Sams. Helm looking to go for the wide Yorker. All it did was put it into the slot and allow Sams to free up his arm. Slow ball, bottom edge. Well bowled Helm. Good comeback from him. Only off by a few inches with that Yorker. Paying the price. Sam's clattering it over long off. 2 left of the over. I tell you what, he's got every right here, Sams, to drop a single and say I'm having the final over and let Critchley do something off the last ball of this. He does exactly that. 47 from 19, Sams. 213 for 5. Over to you, Critchley. 2, 4, 6. You're not getting a single though. Essex will be looking to go bigger than Kent's 228 now. Sams will have strike for the final over. Critchley's got a free hit here. Slow ball, dragged into the onside. They're not going to take a single, surely. Sams is coming back. There you go. He's in. Well run. That was tight, though. I'm surprised. I guess he couldn't check the single, really, but if he was run out there, then that would have been a real miss for Essex. 2 for Critchley, though. 2, 4 or 6. That was all he was getting in that over. There wouldn't have been 1 or 3. Sam's clearly backed himself to get back for that second run. So he has strike. And Middlesex have made a very bold move here for the final over. It's going to be 19-year-old Nathan Fernandez to bowl the final over of the innings. Sam's on 47 from 19. Higgins 21 off the 18th has seen him out of the attack, so he won't bowl his final over. Instead, it's going to be Fernandez. So the left-hander's turning it away from the right-handed Sams. So for Sams, he's got to think long offs wide, long ons wide, so he's got to think straight down the grounds if he can get to the pitch of it. Eskenazi will stand at extra cover when he finishes that conversation. There's a long off, a deep cover. There's nobody back with a deep cover, so the reverse sweep's big here for Sams as well. Instead he backs away and gives himself room down the grounds. Now, did that go? 4 runs, says Holman. 50 for Sams, 51 from 20 deliveries. Quickest 50 of the day, third 50 of the day for Essex. Sams has done it comfortably quicker than the others. 51 from 20 deliveries, another boundary. Oh, I'm not sure he's got that right, as he has. It's gone all the way. Wow, he's really got hold of it. He's taken on the biggest boundary and he's cleared it comfortably. 2 fielders out there. He's absolutely hammered it over them. 10 off the first 2 deliveries of the final over. It looked as though he wasn't in the position to get that as sweetly as he did. His body shape. Goodness me, did he time it though. They're dropping back deep square now and they're bringing up cover. There's only one back on the offside with a short boundary on the offside. Sam's 57 from 21. Goes for it again. Higgins. Oh, it's just cleared him. That deep square. Might have just got fingertips to it. 4-6-6 for Sams. The gamble of going to the spinners not playing off for Middlesex in the final over. Fernandez taking some tap. Sams, goodness me. Carbon copy of the last one. Didn't get quite hold of it again with that shot, but boy did he have enough. 231 for 5. They've gone past Essex's score on Friday night. Straight down the ground, that's going to be 4 more. 235 for 5. 4-6-6-4. Sams is on to 67 from 23 deliveries. This is a mauling at the end for Middlesex. Oh, Fernandez, what does he do? That wide long off, that wide long on means that Sams can go down the ground as he's done a couple of times already. Oh, hit straight back to him. Well done, Fernandez. He holds on. Sam's gone for 67. Brilliant innings for him. Should be match winning. This is a big score from Essex. That's a big wicket for young Fernandez. Very well done, the young man. Tough day in the field again for Middlesex. Essex have really gone at them with the ball, with the bat. But Fernandez holds on. Got a wicket with his second ball in T20 cricket. Penultimate ball of the innings, and he picks up a wicket as well. And that is Sams. Took it to flat back down the ground, but straight back to the bowler. Outstanding stuff from Sams. Last ball. It's for another spinner. Harmer's out to face it, the skipper. Where does he go? Reverse to the short boundary. Try and clear that big leg side boundary as Sams did a few times. Or does he go straight down the ground? Gets the field up on the offside. There's got to be a temptation just to back away, and back foot or front foot hit flat and hard over the offside field. No, he was going for stand and deliver. He'll just get a couple here down to long off to finish. Essex 237 for 6 off their 20 overs. They've got 9 beyond Kent on Friday night. That was too big, even with a centurion for Middlesex. Boy, they're going to have to bat well here if it's to be their first win. 350s in that Essex innings, and they saved the best to last. 67 from Sams, not only the highest score but the quickest of the 50s as well. Brilliant for him. We'll reflect back on all of that after a short break here on the live stream. It was mesmerising at times from Essex. Middlesex and that man Max Holden, a centurion the other night. Well, they're going to have to be very, very good with the bat if they're to chase this down. They hit their highest score at Lord's on Friday night but lost. They've got to go much bigger this evening if they're to find the first win of the season. Join us back, there you go, 4:05. We'll be back just before that to pick up the commentary, to pick up the chase live here at Lord's with iShares. From myself, Kevin Hand, and the team. We'll take a short break. Be back within a few moments.
Pioneer, adventurer, leader. It's an instinct to never stand still. Always striving, never settling. Why should investing be any different? After all, your investment challenges aren't standing still. So neither will we. Expect more with iShares.
We're Cambridge, we're Colchester, Felixstowe and Cromer, we're Peterborough, Wellingborough, we're Luton and Acton, we're Hertford and Stratford, London and the East. We're beginners and we're veterans, local and adopted. We're progressive, we're inclusive, we're versatile, we wear our badge with pride. We're those who volunteer endless time, nurturing the future of our game. We're those who inspire others to give it a go. We're those who support with passion, and those who dream pulling on our shirts. We're strengthening our history to thrive in the future. We are built by our region, for our region. We are sunrisers.
Leaders never stand still. Expect more with iShares.
And welcome back to Lords, everyone. Stephen Eskenazi out to open for Middlesex with Joe Cracknell. And a Lords record, 237 for 6 from Essex. Well, Middlesex hit their record score on Friday night and lost. 210 they posted against Essex a couple of years back and lost. Hit 210 in a winning one here as well. Then on Friday night, 229 their target. Max Holden coming in at 4 with a brilliant century. But a century in defeat as Middlesex were done for 215. Well, they need 23 more runs than they managed in their record in defeat on Friday night. Here's Cook, who's already had fun once at Lords this summer, that with the red ball. He and Porter producing that stunning scoreboard in Middlesex's first innings of the season when they were 4 for 4, but those 4 runs were off no balls. So 4 ducks in a row, 6 noughts in a row on the scoreboard at one stage. White start up. Looking for the Yorker first ball. Pushes it down the leg side. He's got a deep square and a deep third. Oh, that's a beaut. Absolute beaut from Cook. The line and length skids it past the edge of Eskenazi's bat. And that was almost a carbon copy of what he was doing with the Duke's ball. The first game of the season here at Lords. .24 for Eskenazi on Friday night from 13 deliveries. He was one of those 4 ducks. For Middlesex at the start of the season. Robson, Stoneman, Milan and Eskenazi. Holden and Simpson managed to get Middlesex to 20 before they lost their 5th wicket. And Higgins and Simpson taking it on to put some sort of respectability on the scorecard. There's some respectability for this one, off the mark with a 6 for Eskenazi. 200 strike rate. 3rd ball as he gets off the mark. Lovely shot, sweet timing. Slapped from the offside to the on. Same again, bigger on this occasion though. Middlesex taking on that short boundary just as Essex did. And Eskenazi looks in the mood. The most senior of their batters. Big Bash winner in the winter. Captain of the side, he won't be enjoying the losing streak. You know that they've got their work cut out today and some. Oh, now that was spat, wasn't it? They're going to get a run. Appeal for LBW. I'm sure that was toe into the bat. Nope, had it was. (14) without loss. Wide and a leg by to go with the 2 sixes. Solid first over. First ball for Cracknell coming up though to end it. And a dot ball for Cracknell. 14 without loss then, 2 sixes for Eskenazi. Cook goes for 13 with the leg by for the Middlesex captain. So Sam's the star of the show with the bat from the pavilion end. It's going to be left arm over the wicket to Eskenazi. Beautifully bowled. First up, line and length. And a little bit of width angled across Eskenazi here, and then the offside boundaries looking pretty appealing. There's an umbrella going up in the grandstand. I guess Middlesex will have their eye on the Duckworth-Lewis here as well. 13's the Duckworth-Lewis pass score. Climbs to 14 now, so Middlesex now level with the pass score. 5 overs constitutes a match, remember, so still got a bit to go if the rain does come down. Yeah, a few umbrellas going up in the grandstand now. It probably started in a spit of rain. Movement in the crease for Eskenazi, down the leg side and a wide signalled. Sam's with a stunning innings with the bat. 67. In the end, 24 deliveries. Great shot by Eskenazi, gives himself room, accesses the offsides, just has to get it over that infield, and it's 4 runs. Beautifully done by the Middlesex skipper. A couple of targets in mind for him. One of them will be this Duckworth-Lewis. Make sure when 5 overs are done, you're ahead of the Duckworth-Lewis. Just a single, just fine of mid-wicket. Kushi was the first wicket to fall today. He was gone for 7, caught Higgins off Anderson. Lawrence has gone for 53, caught Higgins off Anderson as well at backward points. Kushi'd hold out to deep. Pepper made 64 before he was caught Holman off Anderson. 7 for Robin Das before he was bowled by De Carey's just took the top of off. Also with 19 off 15 deliveries, 2 sixes before he was caught Holman off Helm. So leg side, just a single down to long leg, but it does get Cracknell off the mark, second ball. That's come of the over. Then came Daniel Sams, and Eskenazi had plenty to think about then. Sams hit 67 off 24, 2 fours and 8 sixes for Sams. Eskenazi trying to give Sam something to think about himself. 17 off 9. Gives himself room. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant Exquisite from Eskenazi. Opens the face. He's into the 20s. Gave himself room. Bowler followed him. Look at that. Beautiful placement by the Middlesex captain. 21 off 10. 25 without loss off 2 Middlesex. Back to Cracknell. 1 from 2. Duckworth Lewis is 21. I think that's for the next delivery. Shane Snater from the nursery end. Starts up with the wide. Essex needs to be a little bit careful here. Middlesex putting the Eagles in. And I've had the rain in mind as well. If you're chasing, or if it's going to be a rain affected match, you want to be chasing. Deep square and deep mid wicket back, so just a single for Cracknell. Line of length from Snater. You can see the ball's getting wet already. Duckworth Lewis pass score 22 after this delivery. They're 27 without loss. A wicket to change that, of course. Straight to the fielder again. Field well set. Other option for Middlesex to go up and over into the offside. Just open that face, try an uppercut. Powerfully cut into the offside as Snater with the deep square and deep mid wickets, pretty much looking just short of a length, just outside off. Batting there or thereabouts, middle stump. That's well bowled, Yorker. Really well bowled by Snater. Excellent mix up from him. Rain starting to come down now. How long can the umpires hold? Can they hold for 2.3 more overs? Hold again. Duckworth Lewis 27. So Middlesex will run ahead of it before the next ball's bowled. Single taken this time. 2 mid on, just dabbed into the onside. Duckworth Lewis 29 for the end of the third over. 29 with the ball to spare of it. Eskenazi will know a wicket here, and obviously that Duckworth Lewis climbs, which puts the pressure on those coming in next. I mean, you can't just think about it, but it is a figure that they'll have in mind at the moment. No ball, that helps. This has been an outstanding over from Snater. Tried to get out of it with the bouncer. It's a fine margin on the bouncer though, if that ball takes off as it did there. No ball signalled, so free hit. Does it go block, holds, finish? Tries to. Eskenazi times out nicely. Get a couple for it. 33 without loss after 3. Eskenazi 24 from 13. Good start from him. Duckworth Lewis for 3.1 is 31. So again, they're back ahead of it as the rain's falling here. But crucially, we need 2 more overs to constitute a match. Essex will be thinking, let's have a game. Let's not go for the DL. If it goes past that 5 overs, Middlesex have an awful lot to do. 205 more runs off 17 overs required. Strike rate exactly, oh well, just over 200. Strike rate of 200 from here for Middlesex. Leaves them tying the game. 205 from 102 required. Massive, massive task, but again, 12 deliveries first. Paul Walter. Bowling to his fields. Bangs it in short around the wicket. They'll get a couple. Again, just going back to that Essex innings, that's the one thing. I mean, it's crazy to say, having scored 238, but it's one thing they could have done better. It was the twos into the onside. If you keep trying to hit it for four, they're really just giving the fielders the chance of restricting you to one, unless you get some sort of brilliant placement and timing in between them and a big, big boundary. So Walter around the wicket here to the right-hander. He'll be keeping it very straight. There'll be no width whatsoever. Again, back to toes and nose on that straight line. There you go. Nose followed by toes, followed by nose. The first three deliveries of the over. There's the umbrellas in the background. 9 deliveries away from a match being constituted here at Lord's. Middlesex are, well, they need to be on 37 after this delivery to be ahead of the rate. So Walter's just brought it back here a little in this over. Middlesex could do with a boundary to give themselves some breathing room. 36 the pass score from 3.4 overs it'll be. There's the single that keeps them ahead. This is a tough one for Eskenazi as skipper and Cracknell. There's a match to be won, but equally, the rain falling, they're 8 deliveries away from walking off with a win. Lose a wicket, that Duckworth-Lewis climbs. They could be walking off with a defeat in what, 7 deliveries now. Duckworth-Lewis has climbed to 39. So they've got to go, again, still in this over. They've got an over to play with here to be ahead of the Duckworth-Lewis if this rate keeps coming down at this rate. Behind for the first time at the end of an over, Middlesex. 38 without loss after 4. Duckworth-Lewis climbs to 41. Playing slightly with inside themselves here, these two. 7 from 11. Eskenazi 25 from 14. They'll know the score, the DL pass score for the end of this over, I'm sure. For the next delivery, they have to be on 42 to be winning the match. Here's Cook, went for 13 off his first over. Good shot. Good hand to it. Although I'm not sure it'll feel that way right now. That hurt. Ouch, I think he said. Bowling hand as well for Cook. Whisper about both he and Porter being an option for England this summer. Goes block hole, we'll get a single. 40 on the board. The Duckworth-Lewis is going to climb now to 45. The first time it creeps away from Middlesex. wouldn't say the rain's increased though, so they've kept them out here this long. I don't think they're keeping them out there just to constitute a match. I think they're keeping them out there at the moment, the umpires, because in their mind it's playable. So they'll have to increase to take them off. Low full toss, doesn't get it through, well fielded. Doesn't get it through again. 3 off the first 4 deliveries of the over. DL's climbing on Middlesex, but I think we can probably not worry about that for a moment. So again, unless it opens up a little bit, the umpires aren't just going to all of a sudden bring them off for what it has been to this stage. It's obviously playable in their minds. Brilliant over this from Cook. Another single. Over to Cracknell. Duckworth Lewis par score for the end of the over climbs to 50, so Middlesex will not make the par score. They'll even be even with it by the end of this over now. Essex have really tightened this up here, even with a slippy ball that they're trying with each delivery. No run. 5 off the over. Difficult one for Middlesex. We've got a match now. 5 overs done. Middlesex have to put all of that out of their mind and play the game. The game is get on with it now. 9 from 14, Cracknell. He doesn't like it. Eskenazi's 27 from 17. One shot tightens it up for Cracknell, so he mustn't get too downbeat. Beat himself up over it. Here's Sams again. He went for 11 off his first over. Eskenazi will have strike. Deep mid-wicket, deep square. It's going to be line and length at the top of middle stump from Sams. Oh, Eskenazi steps outside leg stump. Sams pushes it down the leg side that little bit wider. This feels tense, this over. It feels like Middlesex have to open up, not just in terms of the DL, but in terms of the match. Essex are up and over 60 by the end of the power play. Slow ball, well bowled. Eskenazi off strike. Here's Cracknell's moment. He's got no choice but to go for it here. 9 from 14. He's had some amazing moments at Lord's in his very young and tender career. Top bowled again, just a single. Required rate climbing up and over 13 now. Feels like they need a big end to the power play here, Middlesex. Essex bowling well at the top. There's the first move from Eskenazi. Again, straight to the fielder though. This hits it too well, no chance of that second into the onside. Once they're out of the power play, then that is something again from the other night that I'm sure that Middlesex would have said to themselves, there's a comfortable 2 into the onside. And the bowling's from the pavilion end if you're a right-hander. Another single. Leg by signals. Wide first ball, leg by 1-1, leg by. Middlesex can't get going here in the power play. Back to Eskenazi. Bowls him. Eskenazi makes the move again. Steps all the way across. Looks to bring the onside into play. Get fine to those two sweepers on the onside. Sams, as the rest of the Essex attack have been in this power play, pretty much immaculate. Leg stump out of the grounds. Took a step one way, then went the other. Left them all on display, Eskenazi. Sams picks up the big wicket of Eskenazi. 28 for him. His was a reasonable power play. Middlesex's overall, though, is a problematic one. 47 for 1 with one ball left of it. Higgins on strike. Well, Dan Lawrence pretty much had his 50 nearly on the board at the end of Essex's power play. He was 49 on the board. Tickled the penultimate ball of the power play for a single to move him to 49, that is. Floodlights coming on here at Lord's. .4:30 in the evening. I guess there's every chance they would have anyway, but heavy overcast skies here at Duckworth Lewis. Now climbs to 65 at the end of the power play. Singles finish, 48 for 1 Middlesex after 6. Cracknell 10 from 16. Higgins the new number 3 for Middlesex now. So they've had a rejig. He's had a brilliant season with the bat so far. Cracknell's had to wait his chance with the bat until the blasts. He scored 42 in the third match against Gloucestershire and 77 against Glamorgan in that stunning partnership with Eskenazi to start. Middlesex couldn't finish it off. Since then this is his first innings in double figures. Would have been a wide. It's a dot ball. Just only taken the step. The rules now that if the batter goes across, then that margin for a wide moves with the batter. And it's very difficult, yeah. I think he's asking there, could I have left it for a wide? Taking a bit of a gamble if you do, because you've made that step across, so the margin's there for the umpires to see. Bowled into the block hole again from Snater. They're executing well here, Essex. Middlesex have got to find an answer. Acquired rates nearly up to 14 already. .189 required off 82 deliveries. Another dot ball. Frustration's growing for Cracknell, you can see it. 10 off 17. Hangs his head back, checks the fields. Begins with a word for the youngster. There you go. That's what he's been looking for a while. Simple stuff, brings up the 50, 53 for 1 as Cracknell goes up and over mid-off. For the wide Yorker, ended up in the slot. Cracknell says thanks very much. Chance to get a little bit of leverage over the infields. block hole again. Sneijder's bowling beautifully here. Essex are bowling beautifully. On to come at the 7th. .53 for 1. Last ball of the 7th. Launched. Down the slope it goes. Didn't quite get hold of it though. It was only a little bit of leverage over the infield, but not with enough power to pick up the boundary. But he picks up a couple, Cracknell. He's on to 16 from 20. He'll feel a little bit closer to getting going. With, apologies, taken 3, 17 off 20. So 8 off the over. That will feel better for Middlesex. And that's the rate they're going at, 8s. Required rates, you see 14 there. Yes, in some ways you almost have to look at it at this stage. You've got 7 overs gone, 13 to come, only 1 wicket down. What position do you need to get yourself in for the back 10, effectively a T10? How many do they need off these 3 overs and say, right, we've turned it into a T10 now, what do they need to score? Probably quite a lot, to be fair. And that shows how far behind they are. 182 more runs required. What do you chase off? What do you score off a T10? 130, 140. So even 140, that means scoring 40 off these next 3. They're the margins for Middlesex. They are a long way behind. Here's Harmer. That helps. Cracknell gets his strike rate up to 100 for the first time in this innings. Full toss from Harmer, so to make sure he got bat on that one. It was a straight ball. Just a single on this occasion for Cracknell. Keeps going at 100. Higgins at 100 again. That's not going to be enough for Middlesex. They're going to go at a strike rate well over 200 for a remainder of the innings. Reverse for 4. Boundaries have got to begin to flow here for Middlesex. They're to get into this. These two will know it. Sweetly done. Oh, now that's a no ball from Harmer. The wet ball slips out even from the spinner. Well, we saw a few of those against Kent. Stewart and Helm had to be removed from the attack for 2 waist-high full tops. Waist-high full tosses. And there's the signal from the umpire. Firstly to Harmer and say, there's your one. Another one of those and you're out of the attack. Followed by the free hits. Cracknell to have strike. He'll surely be using the feet here, either straight back over the bowler's head or over extra cover, try and get to the pitch of it. Go with one of the two. And they send him back deep mid-wicket. Everybody's up on the offside, so the reverse sweeping option as well. Goes for the use of the feet, goes up and over, and just a single down. Oh! The bounce does for him. 4 runs. Cracknell's on to 26 from 23. He's over 100 with his strike rate for the first time. We'll have enjoyed that one. The crowd certainly did at Lord's. Sympathy for the devil in the pitch. Spins past, long off, despairing. Beautiful little sweep, straight to the fielder. Duckworth-Lewis for the end of the over is 86. Middlesex a long way off it at the moment. Single moves them to 74 for 1 after 8. Higgins keeps the strike on 8. Cracknell 27. Harmer's first over there, going for a few, but that's what I wanted to see, the worm. Middlesex aren't far behind, and that's what I fancied. At the end of the 6th, they weren't that far behind. Yes, they didn't have the power play that Essex did. Only 1 wicket down in the power play, both sides. But you have a look at how close that worm is right now. It's touching distance with 1 wicket down. That's what they've got to keep to. Even though the required rate nearly at 14, it's just come down slightly. But again, it's that 237. You've got to factor a percentage for the short boundary. It's going to be that little bit higher, the scores here, because of the short boundary tonight. So here's Critchley in a bit of leg spin now. Holman took some tap from the nursery end against the 2 right-handers, spinning it with the slope away from the short boundary, but they both felt they could hit against the slope with the spin, the right-handers that Holman bowled to take on that short boundary. That's what Higgins will be trying to do too. Ooh. A little bit of movement there for Critchley. Googly first up for him. There's Higgins again going for the short boundary. Again, there's an element of play the ball, because backward point and short third up inside the boundary rope, up inside the inner circle I should say. Stand and deliver there, not quite time it, so Lawrence able to get round at deep mid wicket. Cracknell trying to take on those 2 short fielders. Time that one. Just the single. Launching is Higgins, and launching it for 6 into the grandstand. That's what Essex did to Middlesex's wrist spinner. That's what Middlesex need to do to Critchley. There's the other option. When he goes wide like that, try and get past those 2 inside the 30-yard circle. Couldn't do so on that occasion. 8 off the over. Decent start for Critchley. Required rate moves back over 14. Duckworth-Lewis 98 at the end of the 9th. Middlesex 82 for 1. But as you've seen from that worm that we just looked at the back end of the 8th over, so long as they're within touching distance of it all the way. There were a couple of overs at the end though, one from Higgins himself that went for 21, then the Fernandez over, which was 22 in the end. Managed to pick up the wicket, 5th ball to get rid of Sams. But yeah, those 2 overs, 21 and 22, Middlesex have to have those in the back of their mind. A couple of overs like that, 44 runs. Walters back from the pavilion end. Good thing too here. Slide from Harmer coming across for a mid-off. Sweetly struck, just a single. It's a long leg. Cracknell feel he's got himself in here. 29 from 26. You could see the frustration building for him at the start of the innings. They need him to go long in this chase. Slow ball sorts down onto that with the hook for a single out deep square. Middlesex umbrella in the background there from the Middlesex shop. Strikes the fielder again. It's a really difficult one. He's backing himself to try and find either side of deep mid-wicket there. Whether it's hitting its cow corner in front of the fielder or dragging it fine of him, bisecting mid-wicket and deep square out there. I guess you really just say got to try and hit it in between, find the gaps, at least get two. Top edged, safe. I think two. Right call just to go one. Cracknell was setting off for the second there. Higgins said no. Top ball to end the over. Duckworth Lewis pass score 109 at the halfway stage. Middlesex 87 for one. Again, as such, are a couple of decent overs away from hitting that rate. And those were the Higgins and Fernandez overs, 21 and 22. The 18th and the 20th. Those two overs going for a combined 43 runs. That's what Middlesex have got to say to themselves, just stay in it, stay in the chase. Toby Greatwood in the background there, one of the sub-fielders sat down. Max Harris running on the drink and the towel. Here's Critchley. This wet ball won't be easy for Essex, especially the spinners. He's missed out there, Cracknell. Straight to backward point, two up inside the circle. They're tightly knit there, backward point and short third, but that's the challenge. You've just got to find the gap either side of them with a sweet connection. That's in front of the pair of those, just to single out to the deep cover. How far does that go? All the way and to the middle tier. Bounces back down from the corporate boxes. It's a wide. Critchley now starting to feel a little bit of what Holman was up against from the nursery end. Can Middlesex keep going against him? The attempt. Has that gone onto the grill again? Yep. Well, it's not Higgins calling for the physio. I think he's calling for something else, but the umpire immediately has to call for the physio and the helmet is struck. Saw this in the Essex innings as well when it was scooped onto the grill of Holman. Here's the 6 again. It's a great shot. Into the slot from Critchley, just a little bit too full, just outside off and right into the arc for Higgins to go. There's Pete Waxman, the Middlesex physio. Toby Greatwood, the sub-fielders. Whatever Higgins was looking for, it wasn't the physio. Done too much damage, just ricocheted up. 95 for one. 21 behind the par score at the moment. That shouldn't perturb them too much though. Got to go for the partnership, got to go for the long game here. Also got to go for that grandstand. Tries to go again and does so. There you go. It is a short boundary. Rain starting to fall actually. A little bit heavier now, so perhaps Middlesex needs to think about that Duckworth Lewis pass score. 101 for one. Duckworth-Lewis par score for the end of the over, 118. Close, just outside the line of off. Critchley disagrees, but the umpire raises his leg, gives it a tap, and it's a leg bye to finish the over. 13 off it, 12 off the bat. Sorry, let's try that again. 15 off it, 14 off the bat. For 8 off his first over, Critchley. 102 for 1. You could just see the misty rain falling a little bit heavier in that over. It seems to have eased once more. Middlesex will see that figure on the board. DLS par 120 after this delivery, so they've got a little bit to do to catch up now. Here's Lawrence from the pavilion end, so where De Carey's was so effective against the right-handers from the pavilion end, how do you access the offside as a right-hander here with the spinner, off-spinner turning it in towards you? Reverse sweep, give yourself room. No run. Use the feet. Oh, slips everywhere. Not the kind we're used to seeing in cricket either. A slip down the leg side for the keeper. A slip to the offside, but got his back in. Higgins, well, bails weren't removed either way, but look at them. One going one way, one going the other. And a wide given. It's the single out to deep mid wicket. Was Cracknell got against the spinner. Well, this is as well. Max Holden's in next. You do wonder actually for both of these. Got a good partnership going now. It's worth 57. But with the spinners on, this is Holden time. Should also be a right-hander, left-hander. That's just going to be a single on the orthodox sweep. Orthodox sweep for Holden to the off-spinner, to the short boundary, is something he'd fancy. Century on Friday night. So plenty of reason for these two to get on with it at the moment. Ha! Bumped back over the bowler's heads. We'll get a couple. Conditions are getting wet out there. This rain's been falling for a long while now. Essex will soon enough start to turn towards the umpire. A pair of umpires. In fact, the umpires are having a little chat from a distance at the moment. There may even be a little radio signal going up to the scorer's box there. I don't know what that was for. Yep, it's turning around the square leg umpire to look at the scorer's box. Middlesex need boundaries here. They're not going to get it that way. Higgins goes deep mid wicket, takes the catch. Higgins goes for 32 off 22. He had to push the gamble button, Higgins. You got Holden, expert at playing spin, sat in the dugout. Higgins had to try something. Holds out to deep mid wicket. Lawrence ends the over. The wicket of Higgins trying to clear the big boundary. A long way short as Sams holds on. 107 for 2. 8 overs to go. Max Holden, Centurion the other night. He came out in the power play and hit a century. Middlesex still require 131 runs for victory here. This is the man. They really need to do it against the spinners in the middle overs now, where the off spinner from one end has really got the right-handers tied down. It's 5 off that over and a wicket as well. Still 1 ball to come of it. Holden straight away here on the orthodox sweep. He loves the reverse sweep, but orthodox sweep to the short boundary against the off spinner. Interesting to see what Lawrence does. Lawrence is going to come around the wicket to the left-hander, try and keep it outside the off stump. So you're sweeping this, you're sweeping it from hard outside off. Now he likes the reverse as well. Bearing in mind this ball should be outside the line of off. You've got backward point, deep third, up inside the circle. If he darts it outside off, then Holden's love of the reverse sweep could come into play. Nope. He goes straight with it and pays the price, even from around the wicket. That slams into that middle tier, then drops down. Hope everybody's all right down there. 6 runs for Holden, and this was why they needed to get him in, and get him in quickly. Critchley around the wicket. The angles were there for Holden in the end. Did think that he'd go the quick ball wide outside of the off stump. That set up nicely for Holden. 6 off his first ball. Middlesex 113 for 2 off 12. Still 21 runs behind the Duckworth-Lewis par score. Now Critchley taking some tap from the nursery end. They've returned to Snater, who's gone for only 16 off 2. Bowled well against Cracknell in the power play. Cracknell 33 from 31. He's been a little bit of a spectator, while Higgins has got on with it, and now Holden going for 6. Over to Cracknell now. This is the partnership that's really going to have to take Middlesex close. It's just going to be a single. Again, it would have been a wide. They're going to turn it into 2. Well run. That ball goes wide there. For Cracknell, you just fancy the right-hander. It's got to be 2 each time. Just say right 2. Find the space, place the ball, take a couple. If he goes straight, then it's got to go into the grandstand. Back to that Sam's innings. There you go. It goes straight. Tries to get underneath it. Couldn't do so. All on the floor. It's a single out to Lawrence. Sam's 8 sixes of 24 deliveries. Pepper 4 sixes. Lawrence 3 sixes, but 8 off 24 deliveries. Extraordinary hitting from Sam's. Got the measure of the boundaries. Oh, Holden goes for the reverse to try and take on the short boundary. Could have been out at the Cricket World Cup qualifiers. Snater. Oh, we're off. The rain's been falling for too long. Middlesex are short. 22 runs short of the Duckworth-Lewis par score at the moment as rain stops play. Only 2 wickets down, but a massive, massive target they've been set. Is it another defeat? It's going to hold up Cracknell and Holden. Cracknell 36 from 33. Holden doesn't particularly want to go, neither does Cracknell. It's their argument. It's not falling any heavier now than it was before, but this was always going to be the issue. It's been raining for so long that any slight increase, then the umpires are going to think, look, safety. Cracknell's making the point. He doesn't want to go. 36 from 33. A little tap on the back of the umpires. Making the point, but I think trying to make the point that he's not making it too vociferously, as he gives the umpire a pat on the back. But the covers come on, the players come off. Middlesex, if they stay off, head to another defeat. 116 for 2 after 12.3 looks a good score, but when you look at that target, 238, it's a big, big target for them to go for. So, how long are we off for? How much of a reduction? Middlesex still needs another 122 to win. That's with 7.3 overs. What's that going to be reduced to? There you go. They just dropped off in this last couple of overs. but it's not that far. It's only one good over. We talked about, look at the ones at the ends, just where it spiked up right at the last. There was the over that went for 21 from Higgins. You can see that climb. And then that last one before the final wicket when Fernandez went for 22 off the final over. That's what Middlesex have to remember. They just need a couple of climbs like that and all of a sudden they're back up with the worm. So we shall see. Basically, we're all sat now waiting to see if Middlesex get back out, what will be the conundrum for them. 122 for 45. Would have been tough. With 8 wickets standing, Cracknell set and Holden looking in the mood again. It looked as though there was going to be a chance of getting close. If that's reduced to what? Even if it was split in half, 61 of what? 23, 24, 22, 23. Well, it would be fun to watch if it happens. We'll be back with a live stream as soon as play resumes here. If it does, that could be a big if with the rain that's fallen already. What do the umpires need? Do they need it to stop to a spit before they can come back out? I think probably so. So fingers crossed on that front. Should be a thrilling finale if we can get to it. If we don't, then Essex take the win and make it 7 from 9 with 3 defeats for them in that time. Thanks for your company so far here on the live stream from Lords, and myself, Kevin Hand, and the stream team. We'll take a break as the rain falls, but we'll be back as soon as there is any resumption.